big fat molecule into small droplets so your body can absorb it. Okay. Bile, yellow-green, bile pigment, bilirubin and biliverde. Okay. Alkaline with bile salt, cholesterol, triglyceride, phospholipid, and electrolytes. Bile salt and phospholipid have polar and nonpolar regions, which allow them to interact with lipid and water at the same time, and then pulling the fat apart. Production of bile increase when fatty chymes enter the duodenum. So the more fat you eat, the more biles you have. One of the things that I always tell the students, there's an acronym that when I was in school they taught us. There's 3F, okay? Female, fat, and over 40. Okay, so if you're female, you're fat, and you're over 40, sometimes you have to remove the gallbladder. Okay, because it's probably not working right. Okay. Accessory organ. Another one is the pancreas. It is very important. Okay. It is both an endocrine and an exocrine. Okay. The endocrine part, you guys remember, it makes insulin, and the exocrine part helps with digestion. Here is the anatomy, picture of the pancreas. Okay, there's so it will release pancreatic juice, water, salt, and sodium bicarbonate. Remember, sodium bicarbonate is alkalinic. It will help neutralize the chyme because it's very acidic, and pepsin, and activate enzyme, pancreatic and intestinal enzymes to digest protein, fat, and carbohydrate with empty, which then empties into the larger and larger duct from the pancreatic duct, and then it will empty into the duodenum. So all the enzyme will enter, get bigger and bigger into the duodenum. Okay. So here it is. The acinar cell secrete digestive enzyme. This is acinar cells in the pancreas. We'll see these pancreatic islets as well. Okay, what secretes hormone. Okay, again, it's secreted smaller, bigger and bigger and bigger pancreatic duct. Protein digestion and enzyme activity. Proteolytic means protein, lytic means separating, breaking down. Okay. Proteolytic enzymes are produced in active form and will be activated in the duodenum by enteropeptidase. Okay. Why does it matter? Again, so that you don't digest it. You don't digest your own. Pancreas. Okay. So pancreatic enzyme, one of the thing is trypsinogen is activated to trypsin. Trypsin will activate pro-carboxylate peptides and chymotrypsinogen. These are powerful protein digestive enzyme, which will then activate it in the duodenum, not in the pancreas itself. So we saw amylase. So we saw salivary amylase, and now there is pancreatic amylase. Of course, amylase is for carbohydrate. Okay, lipase is for fat digestion. Nuclease, because we do eat DNA and other things from other animals. Okay. So here again, the neuronal part. Okay. The parasympathetic activate, when you eat, activate digestion. Hold on just a minute. Parasympathetic, activate digestion. Remember, sympathetic will inhibit digestion. Okay, rest and digest. It will. One of the things that the pancreas will release is secretin and CCK. Again, CCK is bicarbonate. Okay, secretin releases when acidic chyme enters duodenum, causes bicarbonate to release. CCK release when fat and protein enter the duodenum, causes the enzyme to release. Again, here it is, acinar cells. Here's the gallbladder. So bile is formed by the hepatocyte, which is the cells in the liver, and transfer for storage in this structure, and is stored in the gallbladder, this green one. Okay, it's a muscular sac. It has cystic duct, which then will join the common hepatic duct, forming the common bile duct. Okay, so to remember this, here's your bile duct. This first little curve looking thing will be called the cystic duct. Then this part right here will be the common hepatic duct. And then out here would be the common bile duct. Okay, going to the bile. Out. That's the common bile duct. Chemical digestion. Again, a summary of this thing. Carbohydrate digestion. I think we saw this back in AP1. Maltose is 2 glucose. Sucrose is 1 glucose and fructose. Lactose is 1 glucose and galactose. It has to have at least a glucose on there. Okay, this one is just 2 of them. This one's got the fruit. This one got the milk. Starts with the mouth, with the salivary amylase, and then continue with pancreatic amylase in the pancreas. We just saw that. Protein digestion. Okay, beginning in the stomach. Remember, it will denature it with pepsin. Continue in the small intestine with trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxylate peptidase, aminopeptidase, dipeptidase, lipid digestion, lipase in your tongue, gastric lipase in your stomach. But most chemical digestion of fat is done in the small intestine by pancreatic lipase, and it's associated with biles. Remember, it will break it down, emulsifying it. It will form little thing called the micelle or micelle. Okay, it is then water soluble to be able to digest. DNA and stuff, it will be under pancreatic nuclease. Okay, now we need to learn. We're almost done with this chapter. Okay, so several ways things are transported into the body. Okay, there is facilitate diffusion. Let me see what kind of picture we have here. Okay, facilitated diffusion, easy one, spontaneous and passive. Okay, it goes right through. Okay, facilitate, very easy to transport. Co-transport. You're moving against the gradient. For example, remember we saw the sodium potassium pump. Okay, it's moving against the gradient. It needs something to push it through. Okay, active transport, movement of a chemical substance to a gradient concentration, or electrical potential in a direction also opposite. Okay, requiring energy. Okay, passive diffusion is similar to facilitated, and it just goes right through. Since cell membrane are phospholipid, water-soluble nutrient must use a transporter. Also, the absorptive cells have tight junction. Lipid-soluble nutrient will diffuse in. These water-soluble, so let's see, carbohydrate and protein, these are water-soluble and will be actively transported, mostly into absorbed cells. Okay, we don't need to know this. Okay, lipid. Remember we saw that word micelle. Okay, so here's a fatty acid. It'll break it down to emulsifying it with biles, and it'll form little micelle. Okay. For micelle to interact with watery chyme, outside is hydrophilic and inside is cholesterol. Fat soluble vitamin and long fatty chain acid contact with the microvilli. Fat soluble stuff will diffuse into the absorptive cells. It diffuses in. Okay. Form a chylomicron, which is a lipoprotein that enters the lacteal. Okay, so here's a picture of it. Fatty acid will link to form triglyceride. The fatty gall will combine with protein to form chylomicron inside the Golgi apparatus. Chylomicron are extruded. Okay, extruded with like an exocytosis, and it will enter the lymph, which is the lacteal. Minerals, vitamins, and water. Minerals, for example, electrolytes absorbed mostly through active transport. We already saw active transport. Vitamin, there's fat soluble and water soluble. Okay, fat soluble comes with fat via simple diffusion. Water soluble comes by simple diffusion too, except for vitamin B12, which comes by endocytosis. Water is absorbed via osmosis. Okay, that will be the end of digestion.